Mom, what's that over there? My daughter asked as we returned home from my parents' house. We were met with piles of trash bags in front of our entrance. As we got closer, I realized these bags contained our belongings, thrown together carelessly like trash. Confused, I exclaimed, "What's this? Why is this happening?" My daughter tearfully pulled out her beloved stuffed animal from one of the bags and hugged it tightly. Frustrated, I marched towards the entrance, only to find the locks had been changed while we were out. It was clear my mother-in-law and sister-in-law were behind this. Ringing the doorbell and knocking several times brought no response. "What is this? Isn't it terrible?" I muttered. Upon closer inspection, one of the trash bags had a note that read, "Parasites disappear, never come back." Anger surged within me, and I couldn't help but express my frustration aloud. The real parasites are you. This was the worst treatment I had ever received from my in-laws in 17 years. It was unbearable that they were making my daughter feel this way too. My patience exhausted, boiling with anger, I loaded our belongings into the car, and we returned to my parents' house. "I will never come back to this house again," I declared. "I'm looking forward to seeing what happens to the parasites when their host is gone." My name is Olivia. I am currently 45 years old. I live with my husband, daughter, and my husband's mother and sister. I can't say we live happily. I work from home, but this house is never peaceful. The issue lies with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law, Hannah. They have disliked and ignored me for over 12 years. As my daughter Megan grew up, it bothered me less and less. I mainly work as a personal consultant. I started as a fortune teller, but as my blog became popular, I began getting more questions about attracting customers. This led to my current job. I met my husband Jake through a friend's introduction when I was training to be a fortune teller. I work in sales at a pharmaceutical company and also do affiliate marketing as a side job, which is finally starting to take off. Jake gave me great advice on attracting customers when I struggled with fortune telling. Attracted by his kindness, we started dating and got married a year later. Our income wasn't great at that time, but Jake always supported me. I'm so glad I married Jake. I truly felt this way. Living with my in-laws started about a year after we got married. It began when my father-in-law, who had been healthy, suddenly passed away. My mother-in-law felt insecure about the future and asked my husband to live with us. We agreed to live together in exchange for her taking care of the household chores. At first, my mother-in-law welcomed us and was happy. I hoped we would get along well, but I was wrong. 4 months later, she began completely ignoring me, maybe because she was unhappy that I wasn't helping with the housework. Soon, my sister-in-law Hannah also started ignoring me. I didn't mind being ignored, but my mother-in-law's tendency to involve others was challenging. Not only did Hannah hear about it, but even neighbors and relatives were informed that my daughter-in-law stays at home but says she's working, leaving all the housework to me. If I stayed even a little, she would talk back 100-fold, so I just ignored her. To make matters worse, my mother-in-law would suggest to others, "You better not talk to her too, it'll be troublesome." As a result, people around the in-law house began giving me only cold responses to my greetings. I felt isolated, and it became very difficult. Despite my pleas to stop spreading strange rumors, my words were completely ignored. Although my mother-in-law's attitude softened slightly when my daughter Megan was born 3 years after we started living together, her overall stance towards me hardly changed. However, she was very fond of Megan, and having her help with household chores and childcare was a huge relief as my work became busier. Around the same time, my husband Jake's side business started to struggle, and he seemed unable to adapt to changes in the affiliate marketing market. He approached me saying, "Olivia, can you increase your contribution to the monthly expenses a bit?" I agreed and mentioned that my consultations were increasing and my new methods were working well. Even though I was willing to help boost his sales, Jake insisted on handling it alone, saying, "I think I'll try it on my own. I'm really sorry." From the start of our marriage, we agreed that Jake would manage the household finances. At first, my income was low, so he allowed me to contribute more when my sales increased. I would transfer money to Jake based on my monthly earnings, and he would give me a fixed amount for living expenses in cash. Initially, I could only contribute $300, but now I could transfer up to $3,000, though not every month. I could contribute more if I dipped into savings. I knew Jake was struggling with his side business, but his pride kept him from asking for my help. He started spending more time at caves after work, coming home later and later. When Megan was about 5, Hannah got married and moved out. Since she lived nearby, she often brought her son Frank to our house during the day. When Frank turned 1, Hannah said she wanted to start a part-time job, and my mother-in-law happily offered to take care of him until the evening. Hannah was grateful, saying, "Thank you, I'm so happy." As my mother-in-law started caring for Frank at home, she became very fond of him and began being cold towards Megan. When they fought, my mother-in-law would scold Megan and compare her unfavorably to Frank. Over time, Megan started playing near me and began to dislike my mother-in-law's behavior. I spoke up, saying, "Talk to your mother. Megan and Frank are both her grandchildren. She should treat them the same." Megan is already a big sister in elementary school. However, my mother-in-law's focus shifted, and she approached me, saying, "Things are tough at the company right now. We might not get bonuses, so could you contribute a bit more?" Despite the challenges, my blog's client attraction was successful, and I started receiving more consultations as a consultant, earning far more than I did as a fortune teller. When Jake asked for additional financial support, I responded, "I'm already contributing $4,000 a month. Isn't that enough?" "Yeah, I'm embarrassed to say, but my salary has decreased, and the side business isn't going well." "Don't be secretive," I said. "We are a couple. We should support each other in tough times." "I'm really ashamed. Thank you." Later, the amount I contributed gradually increased, and eventually, I was transferring $5,000 a month to Jake. Still, not wanting to hurt his pride, I let Jake continue to manage the finances. When Megan was in 7th grade, Hannah came back home with Frank. It seems Hannah got divorced due to her infidelity, but I don't know the details. By this time, Megan could help around the house, so household chores were divided among each family member. Being ignored by my mother-in-law and Hannah continued, but it no longer bothered me. It's unfortunate that I couldn't give Megan her own room when she started middle school, as Hannah's return meant we ran out of rooms. One night, while discussing which tutoring school Megan should attend for middle school, Hannah suddenly said, "Hey, tutoring is expensive. Why doesn't Megan study by herself? Could you stop making such comments? I'm paying for the tutoring, so it's none of your business." "What? Olivia is paying? Impossible. You don't earn anything. Jake said he's supporting you. You're just a leech, aren't you? Haha, you married him because he has money, right?" "Exactly. Jake told me not to speak ill of Olivia, but that's just shameless." My mind was filled with questions. What does this mean? What has Jake been telling his mother and the others? Jake is the one supporting this house financially? It's about time we put an end to the parasite's lifestyle. I feel bad for Megan, but if we pay for her tutoring, we won't be able to pay my compensation. Not be able to pay? Are you saying our house is paying for your compensation, Hannah? Jake said he would pay for it. You should spend your money on Frank. I began to understand the deception and felt my anger rising. My husband had always managed our household finances, and my mother-in-law had taken care of the household chores and childcare until Megan grew up, so I thought they knew I was also contributing to the household expenses. Is Jake bearing all the expenses of this house, including your living expenses and the compensation Hannah is supposed to pay? Be quiet. It's only natural for a family. You're the only outsider here, not related by blood, and yet you act as if living here is your right. It really makes me angry.